Welcome, I'm Rogers Anderson, Williamson County's mayor, and as we travel around Williamson County today and look at the different spots, we thought we'd have a retiring person, Doug Hood, Parks and Recreation Director, with us today. Thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
We want to do two things today. One, I did allude to it, you are retiring at the end of November 2014 after since 1991. How many years is
23.
that? 23 years. Yeah. I do want to spend a little of the time at the close of this show about the many accomplishments that you've seen occur in our Parks and Rec across Williamson County. But on the front end, we've had some very good news. We've had an opening of a new park, and then in the Tennessee, just recently, we had an article about this same park called Timberland off from the Trace. So talk us through that a little bit, go back for the history and bring us up, and why is it so important we have something like that in our network of parks?
Well, the history started about 20 years ago, and it's been so long I can't even remember the exact date.
98.
98? Wow. We were able to acquire this property to the work for a couple ladies, former Commissioner Judy Hayes and former CEO of the Chamber, Franklin Williamson County Chamber, Nancy Conway, and myself, and some help from a gentleman who used to work here in the county, John Wisnet, who found out about this property. And basically what it was 70 plus acres out on the Natchez Trace, which was contiguous to the Trace. So trying to find out how we could acquire this property, what we could do to it, took a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of years to put all this together. And we could do 30 minutes on that whole park, but to put it in a concise form is that we were able to acquire it from the state. Getting the funding for it, then we started working on the grants program. Phyllis Huffman, who is my planning administrator and deals in grants and our facilities and things, started on a grant program to find federal and state money to help develop this park. So in doing that, we also involved the Highway Department, Eddie Hood and his wonderful crew, who came and built a road for us from a state highway grant that we found, a federal highway grant, that we got. And Eddie built the road within those parameters and had somebody from Federal Highway Administration out there overseeing it. And when it was all said and done, the kudos went to the Highway Department because the federal people said they'd never dealt with the county before in doing this kind of thing, and how surprised they were, but how professional it was done. And as you know, we all take that for granted. That's what we're expected to. We do that every day. It's what we're supposed to do. So we were very pleased with that. And then started the process of how we were going to design this park, because it's completely natural. So we wanted to tag Tennessee plants, tag Tennessee trees, have a place for RVs to park, build an interpretive center where people could come out, get out, go inside and find a little bit of history about Williamson County, how the old logging roads were developed, have an overlook to go sit on and view the park, and then trails to walk through the park. Now the trail situation, what we decided was to get the park open. And in doing that, we could add crossovers or switchbacks as the years went on to connect one trail to the other. Because one thing out there is you're walking the trail, and then the next thing you see is a huge ravine that drops down. And obviously, if you went down there, we'd have an awfully hard time getting you back up. So,
but you're not directing that to me.
No, sir, I'm not directing that at you.
Just
not at all.
Any hiker.
If I was directing you, it'd be directing it to me, because you and I are built about the same. So it would not be good. And through that process, when we came up with this plan, then we got a landscape architect involved who donated a lot of time. Phyllis put this plan together, and she and I sat down and kind of figured out, how do you get people interested in this park? Well, you get it interested because people here love history. They love things about Williamson County. How did we tie the Trace into it? And in doing this, all this came together, and then we realized, we don't have any electricity out there. So we did all this with solar panels. We collect rainwater. That's how we run the toilets, everything. All the solar panels, do the ceiling fans inside, all the electricity. That was all designed by an engineering firm. The architect's firm was done by C&I Design, Jeff Corlew and Brian Richter, who've done projects for us before and understood the importance of this, because this is truly our first nature park. We are trying to catch up with fields and plain surfaces and all that over the years, but this is really the first time we've put a full nature park together. And it's really, and I don't want to call it a test case, but it's a great park to get started with as we move to Bending Chestnut. Bending Chestnut, as you know, acquired through your administration, is the 300-plus acre property that we have off of Pinewood in the Leapers Fork area that we want to develop along this same lines. No plain surfaces, but all nature. Tons of springs and water. It was the old springs, probably where the city of Franklin years ago got their water. And along the lines of money, we realize how much this is going to cost, and you have to put it in the projects that as time goes on. But Timberland has been so well received. We opened it on Saturday morning, and Phyllis went out there with the staff we had hired, and we were doing the craft show, and she sent me a text and said, it's 10:30 and we've already had 85 people here. And it's just people stopping off the trace, coming in. It's a great place for a picnic. We're going to encourage small businesses to come out there and do seminars. There's a great patio on the front. There's a big deck on the back. We're putting rocking chairs there. There's a fireplace. And it is, and you can tell I'm pretty excited, but this is a great one for me, kind of the end of my Parks and Recreation career to do. My love that I'm, the one we've talked about, the one I'll put my stamp on is the theater for children that we got passed and the Senior Enrichment Center. But this is right up there in the top three because we've never had anything like this. It's always been trying to catch up for playing services. The things I bring to you for your support and everything has always involved how many fields we can put here and, how many lights are we going to need and all that. So this has turned out great because, and I loved your comment when I first told you, you said you felt like you were in your home because you're from the east side of Tennessee in the mountains area. And you just drive out there and you're away from everything.
You might tell the people, how do you get to this location?
You can go straight out 96 like you were going to Fairview. And right before the big bridge, the Natchez Trace entrance is there. You will turn left up on the trace, go to the stop sign, turn left, and 100 yards on the right. And there's a big sign that says Timberland Park. And I also want to thank the Natchez Trace people. They have been wonderful to work with. They are very professional, and we're very excited about what we were doing as a county because they had never done this before with a county or a municipality connecting something to their trace. And they have offered to help us with opening and closing the park. It's going to be open from dawn until dusk. County holidays, the park will be closed because we will not have staff out there. There is a part-time staff that works from the dawn in the morning to about 4 o'clock now, 4:30 because it's getting dark so early. But there'll always be somebody out there to answer your questions and help. And we, like anything we do, we're always open to suggestions. If you think you can think of something that might make the park better. One of the things we've done, which everybody loved, we took timber from out there and made walking sticks. And two of my staff members, our former park superintendent who's retired, and a gentleman, that's Doris Hethcock, and then Clay Cooper, who presently works, are both woodworkers. That's hard to say, woodworkers. And they fixed these sticks and varnished them, and all of them are made from the wood of the trees, the poplars, the maples. All these sticks came from out there. So we have a big vat of them. You come out, give us your driver's license, you take the walking stick, and you can walk the trails. And like anything we want to remind you to, safety first and to be careful and pay attention to where you're walking when you're out there. And yes, there are bugs and snakes. It's a nature park, so you have to be cognizant of those kinds of things. And it's going to be a great park.
I think it's going to be a fabulous park, and I'm a little bit surprised you didn't mention how you park your bikes.
Oh yeah, we took I got to give Phyllis credit for this. We took giant logs of trees, full round-sized trees that we had to move out and, for the building and the parking lot, which, we try to save as many trees as possible. Well, then we cut big slits in them with chainsaws and then put in the round spikes in the top of them and turn them so you can run a chain through the lock and you stick your bike between the slats it holds them all there.
It's truly natural.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It really is cool. And that goes to Phyllis. Phyllis thought of that.
Well, Phyllis is to be commended, and many of your own employees out there working to clear the trails off to get them ADA accessible. those that are on wheelchairs or limited mobility can enjoy a lot of the trails too.
Right.
They can't go down into the...
No. But there are areas that we have for ADA that they can do. And the great thing, again, once again, in Williamson County, we had so many other departments involved that help us. Nancy Zion from Solid Waste, brought some trucks out when we got stuck one time with some dirt we had to move. Joe Horn sending the guys out that were checking the restroom facility. How do we do this? And where do we put the fill lines? As usual, everybody helping to make these kinds of things happen. And that's always been the great thing about the departments getting along and wanting to help each other. And once again, it was great. And a lot of them there for the dedication, which you saw.
Let's go back September 1991, a few years ago.
You and I were young men.
We had darker hair.
Yes, we did.
Doug Hood and his family showed up in Williamson County, accepted the job as the new Parks and Recreation Director. You could spend a whole show. You could spend hours talking about where Parks and Rec were, where it was at that time. But you took an idea and a concept. Two ladies kind of spearheaded it back in the 80s, Judy Shuford and
Kathy Oldham.
Kathy Oldham.
Right.
The county was the guru, I guess you might want to say, of Parks and Recreation back in those days from the Franklin area and the county area. But it really leapfrogged when we had a referendum that the people literally said we want to spend more money in Parks and Recreation. It was an interesting time as we look back over it. I mean, today that's a small amount of money that we went on put it on the ballot and said vote it up or vote it down, and unanimously across this county, a lot of worker bees in our community being sure that was handled and that everybody got a little piece of the action. But as you look over your nearly 25 years worth of service here, not what you did in Florida prior to here, there's got to be some accomplishments that you're proud of. Our rec centers are in all of our cities now except in Thompson Station, which we just haven't had one there.
Right.
But in every major city we've got recreational facilities, some with pools, some without pools. I guess they all have pools, come to think of it.
All the big ones do.
All the big ones do. Ball fields everywhere, walking trails, and so many programs that it's just too numerous to name. But when you really boil it down to 1, 2, and 3 things, I'm sure Doug Hood's got his philosophy on some things that you've accomplished you're very proud of.
Well, I am very proud of what we accomplished as a team. It's not about Doug Hood. It's about me hiring quality people who have this same passion, being able to work for 3 really good administrations in Bob Ring, Clint Callicott, and you, all of you understanding the importance of the community and quality of life issues. And since we're going back, I'll tell little tales on the mayor. He and I became friends early on because he's an old basketball official who did some side games from us, helping us. And every time we needed somebody, I remember we'd call him up because we'd get stuck getting this started. And also, when we did the first referendum, when you were chairman of the budget committee as a county commissioner, and said we're going to make sure everybody gets something, and we believed that was the key, that everybody got something under your guidance and leadership that helped us, touch everyone. Even the smallest community got $25,000 where they all felt like it was a buy-in. And then I think the ball started rolling, and when I started putting this, they tease me now when I first came here. Phyllis, Jennifer York, and Jim Harrison were here, and there was no pool facility guy at the time. There wasn't a facility man. There were open positions, and I kind of just waited about a month, and I called them into my office, the 3 of them, and I said, Doug Hood's train's leaving. You can get on or off, and if you're off, I'll wave to you in Kroger, and everything will be great, but we got to go. And that's what started it, is this insatiable appetite of talking to people in the public. And, you got to give a lot of credit, Rogers, to the commission. I mean, they anybody can stand up there and try and sell the deal, but the people who are casting the votes, if they're not behind you and believe in the things that you're doing, you're just spinning your wheels. And hopefully I delivered the message for them to understand the importance of Parks and Recreation in a great community. It draws business, it reduces crime, you work closely with the schools, and all the citizens. I mean, we've done everything. We have a Tiny Tots dance program all the way up to getting ready to build an enrichment center for our seniors. And it's around the whole community. And they, I've talked to many times, they keep coming. There's a lot of people moving here. And I think the challenge for the next director and the department is going to be, how do you deal with that? I've told my staff it's not, where you're going to keep getting brand new community centers because we build schools. You need to take care of the things that we have. You need to concentrate on having high quality product that you turned out in safe facilities, and then as time goes on, it'll all work out the way it's supposed to. I mean, the citizens here have an insatiable appetite for this, and I'm sure there's some naysayers out there, and there's some people that probably think we maybe too much money spent on this, but the majority doesn't feel that way. The majority feels like how important it is to have a well-rounded community. I'm proud of my staff first, and I know everybody says, well, that's not a project. That is a project. If you are an administrator and a good administrator, then you're only as good as the people around you, and that's all you're worth, is the people that are around you. And hopefully I've molded them in the idea of understand that it's you do things legally and morally right, you tell the truth, and you work hard every day. And they always tease me because I have a little sign on my desk, and I pull it out when it's it says you need to be at your best when your best is needed. Because you can't be at your best every day, And I've also told people too, I don't treat everybody evenly. You can't do that, but you want to strive to treat them fairly. You treat people fairly, and then they respond in turn by the job and the understanding that they work for the citizens of Williamson County. So that's first. Second for me is I've wanted to build a children's community theater for my 35-year career. I've always wanted to do that, and that's going to happen here. And I think people know, because people have asked me, I am going to work a couple days a week for you and projects, things, and whatever you choose for me to do, if that's part of it, fine. If it's not, but I know it's going to happen. That's the great thing. And then the other thing, the third, and this is also easy, is getting it in every community. Our slogan is touching lives one at a time. And that's what we've done. We're in every community in Williamson County. And the partnerships, which you and I were talking about, working with municipalities, you've got to have a vested interest in this. You've got to want to do this. And we've been so successful in dealing with them and them understanding that they're getting the best Parks and Recreation Department in the state, and one of the top 10 in the South, and hopefully one of the best in the country, who's going to give you high quality services, and we're going to do it in a right way with a professional staff that is supported by our county mayor and by our commission. And that when you see people come up to me and say, oh boy, I remember back when we had one ball field and we were trying to find a way to get the weeds out of it, and since we've taken over and done this, so we've expanded to this. When people are talking about the problems of growth, that's a really good thing. That's a really good thing, because if people didn't care or weren't interested, they wouldn't be talking about it. But everybody talks about how do we get this? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? And Parks and Recreation is like any other department, and not as important as some. We must educate our children in high quality. We must have public safety. Parks and Recreation is just in there somewhere. But it makes me proudest most that the residents have accepted the things that we've done under the leadership of all of my management team, as well as the county commission and the three gentlemen that I've worked for.
Well, and when I think back over the tenure that you've been at the helm of the ship and driving it, we've gone, we have a girls softball area. We play predominantly girls sports, not in every area, certainly. Our swimming programs start early in the morning and go late.
5 a.m.
Our soccer program, which was this was a good, strong area for soccer.
Yes, it was.
In the 70s and 80s, the Jerry Reeds and Jose's and all of them
right
along the line, Hendersonville and Wilson County in that area, we're pretty good sized soccer, but my goodness, we've just exploded in our soccer programs. I look at the programs that you bring on when we talk about team sports or individual, from our tennis program out in the Brentwood area, indoors area, and there are other areas, even at the rec center here in Franklin, pretty good sized tennis program.
Right.
To our, I think we do everything everywhere: lacrosse, ping pong, pickleball. I don't even want to get into pickleball today.
We have a full gym we do ping pong in.
Yes.
Full gym, table set up, yeah.
We took the old BGA gym on Columbia Avenue and Academy. We call it Academy Sports now, but refurbished the old gym.
Right.
It may be one of the nicer gyms that we've got in the entire county.
And we did it with a grant.
And did it with a grant. Walking trails now, hiking trails now. So much has gone on under your leadership, and I concur with you that you have to have good people to do that, but you also have to have vision to be able to pull some of these things off, because all recreation and the model that goes on in Williamson County, nothing against Franklin or Brentwood or all the cities that have it, but the majority of Parks and Rec is handled under the county side.
It is.
And it's been a good relationship to work with our cities. We took on a few years ago, you and I and some others went up in Clarksville and said, we wanted Senior Olympics. We got it. We have it. And it's
not leaving.
It is not leaving, no. And it is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And we couldn't pull that off without the personal relationship that you've had with working with BGA and some of our other other people involved that have nothing to do with government.
Right.
Have nothing to do with government.
Right.
It's just that they want to see a successful venue.
We know the great thing is everybody who works in Williamson County in these kind of things wants everything that the other person does to be successful.
Sure.
You know, like I think it's, like I love the Main Street Festival. I don't have anything to do with it, but it's so cool that everybody comes down, that comes to do that. Thompson Station used to do their little festival at the Thompson Station Park that my wife and I would go to. Our Touch-A-Truck that we do in one of the communities where thousands of kids show up. All the little special events. I had friends visiting from Florida this weekend. They came, it was one of my high school buddies, so I hadn't seen him, and he and his wife came and spent 3 days with Johnny Kay and I. And the great thing was he kept saying, man, it's like living in Disney World. It's just like, could we go to Main Street on Saturday? There's thousands of people walking down the streets, And he said, and when I came home from work on Friday afternoon, he and his wife were sitting on our back patio and said, I can understand why you love it here. That it's so, once you come here, you understand what it is about Williamson County. Because I know people have said to me, well, are y'all thinking about going back to Florida? No. This is our home. This is where we raised our children, and this is where we want to live. Now, I will be escaping to out of the cold weather every now and then, which I've never gotten used to.
Life's been good to you, your family. Johnny Kay's just a wonderful person. You had 2 children, a boy and a girl. That son of yours is just loading you up with some grandbabies.
All girls.
All girls.
Yeah.
And and even the latest one has certainly got the name of you.
Yep, Elizabeth Douglas Hood. Yeah, pretty neat.
Of course, you can't let that enter into your which one's the favorite.
Well, sure you can.
I'll let you deal with that.
Yeah.
I've got my own problems with my grandchildren. We've got 4 minutes left in the show, Doug, and it certainly. I could fill this room, the whole studio, with people to say thank you throughout the community that you've made a difference. I mean, you're a team player, but yet on the other hand, you're a leader. You're a very successful individual. You could have gone anywhere. You'd have had plenty of opportunity to relocate your family, take on another Parks and Rec department, but you chose to stay here. So on behalf of everyone in Williamson County, I say thank you, because you truly have made a difference in the way that you have got things accomplished. It's not always been an easy ride. But your attitude, your philosophy is, as soon as the vote's taken, we go on and try to make this a better place. when you start looking at building blocks, what makes communities strong, what allows communities to flourish. I mean, you've always said, you know, public education is one of the strong pillars. If you're looking at 4 pillars of a house, the stability of that, one of those is public education. You can look at the people, you can look at a lot of things, but one of them is Parks and Rec. People not only just want to, today, when you and I'm a little older than you, but in my day and time, about the only time you ran was because you were on the track team.
Right.
Today, we jog and walk and in buildings, out of buildings. With the density that we've got here in Williamson County, people being so busy anymore, when they come home, they want to be able to go and work out or go to a craft.
Right.
We must not forget, there's plenty of people that participate over at the recreational facilities that don't exercise.
Yeah,
Now,
everybody didn't kick the soccer ball.
that's right.
Yep.
And so my hat's off to you. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Mayor.
I think that life will be good to you and Johnny K. In traveling to North Carolina and Texas. But for a while, there's a few projects people will see Doug around. But I want to say thank you personally because I think you've been one of those successful pillars of our community, just like any law enforcement chief or the sheriff or the mayor or anyone else, is because you've taken it and you've run with it. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mayor, for your kind words.
Now, with that being said, there's probably people watching this show. What is Doug Hood going to do other than work a little part-time around here for a while? But people want to know. They'll still see you at the Publix and the Krogers. And,
Sure.
And
Sure. I'll be at high school football games and love sporting events, as you all know that. Love the arts. And my staff has been kind enough to invite me to all these wonderful things that we continue to do. You know, I'm still going to judge the car show that we do every year out at the arena for our craft show. They'd like me to continue doing that. You know, I'm going to be around. I'm going to be involved. I want to get involved with the hospital. You know, I want to be part of, you know, doing things to help people. Johnny K and I both have that spirit. We feel very blessed to live here, Rogers, and we feel very blessed for the friendships we've made over the years. And again, I've been so fortunate to serve the residents here. I really have, and I've just am so grateful, and the Lord's blessed me in a lot of ways.
Doug Hood came here in September 1991. November of 2014, he's hanging up his cleats on a full-time basis. We appreciate you. We are very proud of you. We wish you the best of luck as we go down the road. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for your friendship.
I'm Roger Sanderson. This will end the show. We'll be traveling around and going someplace else at the next time. Have a good day.
WAKM AM 950, Williamson County's hometown radio, and WCTV, the education and government cable channel for Williamson County. Together, serving the fastest growing county in the great state of Tennessee.